We're very pleased to be talking with Mike Hart, who's the president of the Haverhill City Council right now, running for re-election for his fourth term. Welcome to the program, Mike.
Yeah, thank you, Frank.
You know, it looks as though you've been shaking a lot of hands, or that's the wrong hand, I think, but nothing of a crucial nature, sort of corrective surgery.
No, just the rotator cuff, result of maybe too many years of tennis and a couple of falls on the ski slope. So
we were going to start some rumor about you arm wrestling with the mayor, but that's all right. You know, Mike, can you tell us, as a Haverhill City Councilor, there are some compelling things that that maybe you've seen over the years. You're running for your re-election, which would be to your fourth term right now.
Correct.
And that being the case, can you tell me how is what you're confronting, or what you think the city is confronting, in the next 2 years? How is that different from what the city's had to face and what you've had to face on behalf of the city in previous administrations, in the previous years?
I don't think it's going to be a great deal different. From the very first term that I served, I could see that we were facing structural deficits and financial challenges, and it hasn't changed. Each and every year, you're looking ahead and you're saying, or if you're going to talk with the mayor, he's going to say, well, it looks like a $3 million deficit or a $5 million deficit. It's always been that way, and we somehow managed to pull it together and get through each budget session. They're very challenging these years. It's totally different from the way it used to be before I was on the city council, when I was a city solicitor. I can remember going to budget hearings and defending my budget because there was maybe some money there that councilors could take away or would take away. Well, now we have our budget sessions, and we bring in department heads, and we know going in that there's nothing to take away from that budget because it's already been level funded or reduced from the prior year's expenditures. And it makes it very, very difficult and challenging for department heads and the mayor and the city council to function like that. So I expect it to be that way. I mean, the economy's not any better. I expect it to be that way for the next couple of budgets anyways. I mean, we're very fortunate this last budget that Representative Dempsey came in with that, extra money that really, without it, it would have been much more of a struggle. You might have seen a layoff or two, or you definitely wouldn't have seen any improvements. So it's just the way it is. I'm not expecting it to be much different.
With the challenges that you've had to confront and that the city's had to confront in years past, the largest one being still the hail debt, and everybody knows that. That's like the large black cloud economically that's looming over everybody's head that you have to contend with on a yearly basis with all of your budgets. The thing is that take that into account. That has not gone away. You're still dealing with that. But you're also having to deal with the fact of mandated federal programs such as the flood wall, such as or on the state level, the capping of the landfill, and also the water runoff relative to the sewer overflow issues. Each one of those comprising millions of dollars in expenditures. Add that to the situation of the hail debt. People might be looking over their shoulders. You're looking always for efficiencies, and I can understand that, but there comes a point where you can't go anymore, and are we close to that? And if we are at that point, what do you do with the mandates that we have to go ahead and implement? Because you're the city council, you approve the budgets.
Yeah. When you sit back, Frank, and sit down and talk about the things that you were just mentioning there, some of these mandates that we face, if you were to just sit there and talk about them, they'd scare you to death. So we manage to deal with them as best we can, but the reality of looking at all of them combined is it almost makes it impossible at some point to not have an implosion, if you will, on services. So I think we do the best we can to work our way through each one of them. And I mean, I get the sense that we look forward to surviving each budget year. Once July 1st comes along and we've passed the budget, it's kind of like, whew, we did it. But now you got to start worrying about the next fiscal year and how are we going to deal with whatever we have to deal with in that year with these mandates. And the mandates aren't fair. They really aren't fair. I mean, it's fine. I mean, they serve good and wonderful purposes, but it's not fair or right to require almost impossible expenditures from city government and not give them some way to help pay for those things. So
When you take a look at what has happened in other contiguous communities, for example, where they've incurred massive budget problems, perhaps to a larger degree than what Haverhill's had to confront, and as a result, they've literally decimated their public employee and administration relative to even public safety, which saw basically an increase relative to crime. And then it was after that that the state apparently had to step in with being able to provide funds for being able to reestablish and call back members of the police force. Probably more than half of the police force happened to be laid off. People are worried. I mean, the fact is, can we learn from those issues that other municipalities have gone on, and will the federal government take things of that type into account, do you think, so that they can make things more manageable? Or will it just be, will they consider it, or will they just have to look at it and deal with it differently because there's only so much money to go around?
To be honest, I've never seen really not that we don't get any federal help, because we do, but in terms of as far as your operational costs go, it's very, very limited as to what they say they can do, which is somewhat, I mean, we're maybe getting off the city stuff here, but when I see the money that we expend outside of our country, that we go into other countries and we rebuild cities and spend billions and trillions of dollars, and then we can't come up with some help for our cities and towns, I've always thought there's something wrong with this. There really is something wrong with this. But so they're very limited, because I know I can remember when Congressman Meehan was in there speaking with him and with Congresswoman Tsongas, and they try to help you as much as they can, but it's limited with what they can do because of the limitations on what federal monies can be used for.
As a result of what you've just described, are there any things in your memory while being on the council that had been voted down that the council, in their wisdom, given the present circumstances that they are facing and are going to be facing, would reconsider?
That we voted down something that we couldn't afford?
Something that, let's say, that maybe might have been a program that you decided you did not want to go after. Much in the same way, and I'm using this parallel. It's going to be several years ago when they tried to go ahead and bring casino gambling to the state of Massachusetts, and it was voted down. Well, the city, the state at the time was in a different financial position where they thought, well, we can afford to vote that down. Now they figure they can't afford to vote that down, and now we have casino gambling that will be coming into play. Using that type of parallel, is there anything that the city council maybe had dismissed before that they might now look to reconsider?
We just did. We just did. My very first term, when Mayor Ferrantini first got elected, there was, and because we needed to do this, we needed to go in that direction. There was calls for, let's develop a parking plan, and let's get some paid parking, and that will help pay for the downtown repairs and keeping up the downtown. It's revenue that we could use, and there was lots of talk and anticipation, and the mayor at the time was for it, and he put together a comprehensive parking plan, brought it before the city council, and it was a very good plan. Wasn't perfect, but you're never going to get a perfect plan. And I think the city council at the time looked and says, "Oh, we're rushing it, you know. We don't like this and we don't like that, so take it away for now. Take it away." Well, we took it away. We never saw it again for 8 years. But of course it came back, and we just passed it. So a good example of what you just spoke of.
And that's an example of being able to move forward. So that's adaptability to the circumstances and considering everything that's on the table. Yeah. Excellent. We appreciate you being able to be here. Mike Hart,
glad to be
President of Haverhill
able to
City Council, running for re-election for your 4th term, and we wish you the best of luck in November.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
Yep.